All right, let's get into it. Today we're diving into one of the most unpredictable, chaotic, and just downright thrilling qualifying sessions we've seen in a long, long time, the 2026 Australian Grand Prix. This was a session where reputations meant absolutely nothing, and the rulebook got torn to shreds right from the very start. It all kicked off with this moment right here. A sight that literally sent shockwaves through the paddock. A four-time world champion, a driver famous for his pinpoint precision, suddenly off the road and hard into the wall. And trust me, this single mistake didn't just end one driver's session, it blew the entire day wide open. So, the first part of qualifying was barely even underway when the unthinkable happened. The dominant force in Formula One, Max Verstappen, finds his session ending abruptly and violently against the barrier. So, what on earth happened? Well, the replay showed it was just instant and totally unavoidable. Early in the braking zone, the rear axle on his Red Bull just locked solid. You could even hear the revs drop on the broadcast. As one commentator put it, it was like someone just pulled the handbrake. And not even the lightning-fast reactions of Max Verstappen could save that one. Okay, so for anyone who might be new to the sport, here's a quick rundown. Qualifying is this super high-stakes session that basically sets the starting grid for Sunday's race. The driver who puts in the fastest single lap time gets to start from the very front, and that spot is called pole position. And it all happens in these 3 knockout stages. In Q1, all the drivers are out there, but the slowest 6 get eliminated. Then in Q2, they do it again, knocking out another 6. And that leaves us with Q3, a top 10 shootout where the remaining drivers battle it out for that incredible pole position. And of course, with Verstappen out, well, the game was now wide open. But Verstappen's crash, that was only the beginning of the drama. As the clock ticked down in Q1, the session just evolved into pure, absolute chaos, with several other titans of the sport suddenly finding themselves on the brink of a shock elimination. I mean, just look at this list of casualties. It was staggering. Along with Verstappen, his Red Bull teammate Perez was out, so were multiple race winners like Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz, and veterans like Lance Stroll and Valtteri Bottas. This wasn't just a few surprise exits, this was a complete reset. It ripped the heart out of the established front of the grid and promised us an utterly jumbled-up race day. So with the grid totally turned on its head, the second session, Q2, became this frantic fight just to make it into that final top 10 shootout. The pressure was absolutely immense, and you could really see it. And you can see that pressure mounting right here. Alex Albon, he's pushing to find that extra tenth of a second, but he carries just a little too much speed into the first corner. He runs wide into the gravel, and in an instant, poof, his chance to fight for a spot in Q3 was over.
And Albon wasn't alone. He was joined by Hülkenberg, Behrman, Ocon, Gasly, and Colapinto. Every single one of them was fighting on a knife's edge, but ultimately, they all fell just short of making it into that final crucial session.
And so we got to Q3, the final 10 drivers. It's this incredible mix of seasoned veterans and hungry rookies, all with one single goal, to claim pole position on a day where it felt like anything could happen. The pressure was so intense, even the guys at the front were cracking. Here you see the Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli carrying way too much speed, locking up, and just sliding through that unforgiving gravel. Amazingly, he managed to keep the car going, but it was a clear sign that everyone, and I mean everyone, was right on the absolute limit. But in the middle of all this chaos, an incredible underdog story was unfolding. Red Bull's Isaac Hajar, making his debut with the senior team, put together a lap that just stunned everyone. He launched his car into third place on the timing screens, what we call a provisional P3, meaning he was there for the moment, just waiting to see if anyone could beat it. The commentators were just blown away. I mean, to pull a lap like that out of the bag, against the likes of Ferrari and McLaren, it was a truly sensational performance. He even managed to hold off a 7-time world champion, his own hero, Lewis Hamilton, at the very end. Right at the very top, though, the battle was just electric. After his earlier mistake, Kimi Antonelli recovered to set a phenomenal lap and take provisional pole. But his Mercedes teammate, George Russell, was right behind him on the track and immediately started to answer, going purple, which means setting the absolute fastest time of anyone in the first 2 parts of the lap. It all came down to a final showdown between the 2 silver arrows. After a session that was defined by crashes and surprises, it was the Mercedes team that held their nerve and delivered when it mattered most. And George Russell delivered. He kept it clean through the final corners and just stormed across the line to snatch pole position. It was a superlative lap to cap off a masterful performance. His teammate Antonelli held onto second, giving Mercedes a stunning front-row lockout. And here it is, your final top 10. A Mercedes 1-2, with Russell on pole and Antonelli in second. Leclerc salvaged third for Ferrari, followed by Piastri and the sensational Isaac Hadjar in fifth. Just an unbelievable starting grid for the Australian Grand Prix. You could hear the relief and the celebration on the team radio. A message from the pit wall to Russell summed it all up perfectly. Awesome effort, George. Well done. So controlled. And you know what? In a session that was anything but, control was exactly what won the day. So, what does this all mean? We'll leave you with this question. With a dominant Mercedes locking out the entire front row and the reigning world champions starting dead last, are we witnessing the start of a brand new era in Formula One? We're going to get our first real answer this Sunday.